Hi Libra, welcome to your July reading. We're going to do the astrology first, and I have a new setup where you can see the cards from overhead. So we'll shuffle and look at the cards after this. All right, let's start with July 5th. Mars moved into Taurus, and they're going to turn the Hadron Collider back on. Yes, I'm going to mention it in every video. Okay, so let's talk about that. Mars moves into Taurus. If you've had some rocky points in your marriage, whether you're still together and working it out or you're divorced, there can be some healing retroactively, just you thinking about the marriage, you come to some interesting conclusions. Or you're in the marriage and you've stayed, but there's been deep pain and trauma. And now there is this completely unexpected revitalization and healing, deep healing. And for the first time in a long time, you know that everything's going to be okay. So that's really, really nice. And if this is with an estranged partner, someone you're not with anymore, it's also very nice because you feel this level of comfort perhaps that you haven't felt in a long time, because it is uncomfortable to have an animosity, right, towards someone, or to know that they have it towards you. Okay. Next, excuse me, it's time to adjust to who people are and not who you used to think they were. And this goes for good and bad. So people can show you who they are, and that doesn't really mean much because you're so loyal that if you decided and you put them in your book as being this or that, that's where they stay. But July will teach you how detrimental that can be to your happiness, to your business, to your family. There are a lot of people that end up in your good list that really shouldn't be there, and there are a lot of people who are on the bad list for the wrong reasons. And July is going to throw you a bit around in the waves, as Cancer season does, and show you where you are making a mistake. So take that as a welcome adjustment that you have to make, because you're doing so because you're receiving information that makes you understand, oh, right, yeah, that person's not as bad as I thought. And this other person that I thought was great, yeah, they're not to be trusted at all. It can be very jarring. If you're a significant other, if you happen to have a significant other at the moment, is going through, if you have a significant other at the moment, it is possible that they're going through a bit of a crisis. It could be any sort of crisis, but it does highlight the fact that when they go through something, the way they treat you changes. Now, if that's something you can handle, great. For some of you, this may be really jarring because you haven't seen them handle anything before, and excuse me, it can be a little bit scary. So if they're going through something and it is scary, or if they're going through something and you don't really know what to do, what I would suggest you do is try to be their spiritual touch point or their rest point, kind of like this lighthouse that's just beaming safety. You stay centered, you stay zen, you breathe, you meditate, you hydrate, and let them kind of find their way to your calm. That's really probably the only thing you can do for them. Don't get wrapped up in their stress. That's exactly what you shouldn't do for them. No matter how much they want to, because they might want to press it on you, because a lot of times people like to tell Libra things because we want you conscious or unconsciously to solve it for us. And many times we don't remember how much of a burden it can be to have people dump all this stuff on you. So let's keep going. Things from the past seem to haunt your love life. If there are secrets on either side, if there's something from your past that you're desperately trying to run away from, it has a tendency to rear its head again. So prepare yourself for that. It doesn't have to be anything major, but whatever it is, you have to remember that it's in the past, and if your relationship is strong and you're reaffirming your trust in each other, then it shouldn't be that big a deal. But there are some things that can come out that are a little bit uncomfortable. And it's all, it's all stuff from the past. It's stuff that can't be changed, but somehow it feels like it's just following you around. And it's so frustrating. Okay. It's always a good idea to set things straight, even if it gets a little bit messy. So I think I was writing that in relation to, your love life haunting you or things from the past haunting you. Yeah, it sucks, but it does give you an opportunity to set things straight. And, if the bone needs to be broken to be reset again and somebody else happens to do the dirty work of breaking the bone, then oh well. Okay? From the 27th of July till the 11th of August, you have the North Node and Uranus in conjunction in Taurus. What does that mean for you? That means that something strange and new begins. Just let this tide take you where it wants to take you. It's something that can sweep you away. It can be romance, it can be friendship, it can be a business idea. Just make sure that what you're being tempted by is not some version of yourself that you have evolved past. Just make sure it's not some temptation from your old life, from the old you. Okay? There are a lot of plot twists. There's a lot of up and down. There's a lot of tumult in Cancer season. But one of the great things about it being a fellow cardinal season is that there are a lot of ways that you can find in this chaos and in this fun to make money. So that should pique your interest. Somewhere mid-month, you're like, this is chaotic, but I'm also getting a lot of really good ideas. I love this. Just keep going with it. Excuse me. Grinding and getting the bag is really the thing that pushes you forward, and there's nothing wrong with that. Just stick to that and keep going. Speaking of which, it can get a little bit financially shaky, and that can bring up some past traumas and some past insecurities. But the answer is not to crumble. The answer is not to start to shake. The answer is to get very practical and frugal and no nonsense and move on with it, because it's so much bigger than you are. It's not something you can fix, even though your brain wants to fix it. All you can do is adjust and move forward. And everything will, in terms of financially, the things that seem stuck right now, they will fix themselves. So, just be patient. But in the meantime, it's the triggering of the trauma that it brings with it that is so problematic. And so that's why I'm saying what I'm saying. Okay. Don't run away and do something dumb. That stress that you're experiencing there, it is not in vain. That stress is not for nothing. There is a reason for that stress. It's meant to teach you something or direct you in a certain way. And when you cut and run and just do something stupid or dumb as a way of kind of burning bridges, and you know exactly what I'm talking about, you fail to learn the lesson. And that's such a shame, because that's the whole point of all the things, is to learn the lesson. So don't run. I was talking on the live the other day when we were doing the ZA walk, you can find it on Patreon, about taking advantage, how people take advantage. And if you're a nice person or a kind person, you just take it until you can't take it anymore one day. And then when you react because you can't take it anymore one day, then you're the one that's culpable and you're the monster and you're the one that overreacted. But every single thing that you took, they were insane. Each one of them was insane. Excuse me, not even just the cumulative effort. Each one of the asks was insane, and you just kept giving in and being magnanimous. And then when you just couldn't take it anymore because the asks were getting too exorbitant, then all of a sudden you were the monster and you didn't want to share, and you were selfish and you were hot-tempered and you lost your cool and all this stuff. We don't have to let people take advantage of us until it's way too late. But another aspect of that is that we can't allow us to take advantage of us. There's a lot of things that this world has taught us that we have to do, and One of the most poignant is that we have to put our health and our comfortability and our sanity and our comfort aside for the rules of this world and the schedules of this world and the needs of this world. And I find that we are constantly pushing ourselves away so we can fulfill what the world wants from us, and we have so very little time to do what we want and check in with ourselves and give ourselves what we need. So if you can do that in July, if you can not run away, if you can stay and if you can stay and not take advantage of yourself and not let anyone else take advantage of you either, so you can stay, well, that would be great. Love you. Let's look at these cards. Let's shuffle some cards. Hi, Libra. Welcome to your July reading. The first part has been up on Patreon for about 4 days. Okay. It's all about, for those of you who are married or in a long-term relationship or a serious relationship, it's all about the transformations that relationship is going through. And if you can find a way back from whatever has happened. Sorry, I forgot to plug this mic in, so I'm going to do it now. I apologize. Okay. If you are dealing specifically with a Scorpio, this might be difficult. Something from your past seems to be catching up or haunting you. Something that doesn't have anything to do with your present relationship at all, but it's put your partner in a weird place. And it's kind of turned the trajectory of your life around quite suddenly. Like you knew exactly where your life was going. You had a very, very good plan. Now, this could be something in their past or something in your past, but it, to me, according to your astrology, it looks like it's you. And so if we look at the cards one by one here, we get a pretty good sense of the story being told. So 3 of Pentacles, a stable relationship, something that has either is long-term already or has long-term potential. 5 of Pentacles, the disillusionment that comes when you realize that someone is not who you thought they were. And I want to pause there for a second, because I think that's what July boils down to. If you want to make it about whatever specific thing is going on or has come up somehow, you're missing the point. This is not about a specific thing. This is about what that specific thing is indicative of in your personality, or if this is about somebody else, in their personality. You understand what I'm saying? It's one thing for me to hear a story about you. It's another thing for me to hear a story about you that brings into question your principles or your morals. Now, you would be right in saying, I should not be shamed for my past. That's bullshit. And you're right. You shouldn't be. You're absolutely right. But being shamed for your past and having someone alerted to a certain quality that you have or a certain moral standard that you have based on your actions in the past, those are 2 different things. They may feel the same. They may look the same, but they're not the same. And so if you try to keep fighting on this front of it's not so bad, or you've also done stuff wrong, either one of these are very things that, these are the 2 tactics that Libras are prone to when backed into a corner. And in a way you are being backed into a corner because your past is really nobody's business, right? There's also that. Sorry, I had to make some camera readjustments. Okay. Neither one of those roads are going to take you where you want to go. If your plan is to put it on the other person and say, hey, you did a lot of stuff wrong too, that's going to work short term, but it's going to backfire. Especially if you're dealing with a Virgo, especially if that Virgo is somebody that you have kids with. But we'll talk about that later. We'll talk about all this in the extended. Now, so what do I do then? It's not a big deal, isn't going to work. And it's also your fault, or you've done stuff too, isn't going to work either. So if you want to hold on to this relationship and you can't do either of those things, they're not going to work. What's going to work? Well, I think especially with someone as intractable and stubborn as this person is, see, Scorpios are tricky, Libra, because they can be so much like you that you can start to think the wrong thing. You can start to think that you guys are the same, and you're not. And it's in moments like this that it becomes very apparent, because there is a certain depth which you choose, not that you can't, that you choose not to cross, because it's unseemly. It's people's private stuff, no matter how close you are to them. There's a certain level of propriety with you. Scorpios will go embarrassingly deep and drag you down into the depths of hell with them. And it's so uncomfortable and grimy down there, and you hate it. But also, that's where so much of their insight comes from. It's this almost guttural lack of any sort of pretense. They're looking at things exactly as they are. That can be really difficult, Libra, when what you need to be having is a nuanced conversation. Now, for those of you who are single and don't have any sort of this misunderstanding going on, aren't putting back together any sort of a relationship, let's look at these cards from a singles perspective before we get to that second row. Whatever is going on in whatever group or friend group or community or job situation, it's better to set things straight, even if it means you have to start over. Because living a life of misery is just not where it's at. Okay? There's a lot of drama. A lot of drama. But if you look at it the right way, you can gain a lot from this drama, as long as it's not your drama. That's why I'm saying you should put your stuff straight early, like the next day you go to work. You should, or the next day you see whoever it is, you should just lay things out as they are and not however this person may think they are. Okay? That's because you want to do whatever you want to do before the 27th. You have to get it done, because something comes in after the 27th that's just can throw your whole world upside down. It's this Uranus energy. It's very chaotic. It's very unpredictable. And it does things with a logic that we don't understand. Like the elliptical orbit of Uranus. We have no idea why it does what it does. It just doesn't make any sense to us. And it has the same effect in our lives. Things happen that are seemingly without any logic or purpose. They end up having a frightening amount of logic. It's that Aquarius energy. But it's unpleasant. You know, it's really unpleasant. And the North Node and it's like, there's so much about yourself that you have never been able to face. That is why you are able to create such a compelling facade, because you believe it. And when you're faced with this kind of energy, whether it's an external person or just what you're going through personally, this very clean, too clean, too clean. Who needs to see all that? Clean mirror. When you're placed in front of it, really placed in front of it, and it lets you have it full force, You start to see your life, the direction of your life, your vices, your everything. You start to see it different. You start to see yourself different. You ever been read your life by a Scorpio? Is that kind of feeling we have going on. And Uranus brings with it that energy of look at it, face it. Yes, you can cry about it and scream about it, and there can be drama about it, but I would suggest you watch other people's drama and not be the one on stage. Either way, it may be chaotic and it may not make sense, but it is very strong. And it will make you face things about you. And the most terrifying part, Libra, will be that when you get to the end of it all, at the end of the month, or well, no, for you, middle August, the thing that will really sting will be that all the things you have figured out are things that everybody else knew already and could see. And that, I think, will spiral you into an inner journey that takes us through Leo season and into Virgo season. And I think in Virgo season, it will bloom within you. Don't see this as a negative, although it may at times really feel negative, because it's all leading you towards a greater depth within yourself and understanding of yourself, not of anybody else, ironically, because this all kind of can be catapulted by a relationship that's trying to heal. But really, it's just an excuse to send you on a tougher journey. You know, the romantic tryst or whatever has happened is a way to kind of entice you into a much more serious quest of finding yourself, bro. Very powerful. Very, very powerful reading. Finding yourself is, well, the one thing that will annoy you the most about it is how uncomfortable and gross and disgusting and ugly it can be. You know, all these posts on like TikTok and like Instagram of like people like of like a POV of like walking through the woods, and there's that like song playing, doo, 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 you know, those weird sounds that everybody uses for the same type of content. And it's like, finding yourself feels so good and you can leave everything behind. Yeah, no. Sure, I don't know. If you're living high up in the Sierras somewhere, you know. What does he say? You up in the Sierra Mountains. I do a good Patanjali. I gotta tell you, I'm good at it. I don't know why. It's random, right? But I do a good Patanjali. Anyway, doesn't matter. Focus. Finding yourself can be fucking gross, okay? And you are not gonna like the things you see, especially if it means you have to change directions on some key things that you're doing in your life, like where you find your pleasure and how you run your family and your career. It's a lot. But in my favorite film, Dead Man by Jim Jarmusch, nobody's a character, says to William Blake, another character, the quest for vision is a great honor. Okay? It's bestowed on you. It's not something you can ask for. It's not something you can buy. It's not something you can go and pick up. It's not something someone else can, you know, tell you about and get you on the list. No privileges work here. The quest for vision. The quest to be able to see yourself. Really, do you know how powerful it will make you? Do you know how unstoppable you can become once you really know what's behind that facade that you keep looking at and believing? I'll tell you what, the facade doesn't even come close to how strong, how beautiful, how capable you really are. But sometimes it takes a little harsh energy, you know what I'm saying, to get there. And Cancer season, you know, it's like that. This is like the tide hitting you. You're one of the ones that the tide hit you and you get knocked over. It's like that meme I posted. It's like a really beautiful girl in a beautiful swimsuit, and she's on this beautiful beach, and she's doing the whole, like, Instagram is doing, you know, taking a video of me walk, and then a wave just fucks her up. Like, it just, you know, it's Cancer season. Welcome. This shit doesn't work. You ever been around Cancers, Libra? You see how Cancers treat you? They just look right through you, like you're just so full of shit. That type of shit. This is the type of time that Cancer season be on. And it's not always fair, because sometimes you really be about it, and you're not full of shit. And you're like, no, I'm being serious. And they're like, no, you're full of shit. So it's not fair. It's not always fair. I'm not saying it's fair. I'm saying this is where we're at. Okay, air sign to air sign, this is where we're at. It's not pleasant, but my goodness, how much you stand to gain if you were to go for this quest, if you were to follow it, if you were to not shy away from the reflections you see once the facade falls down. You might even like what you see if you have the guts. And you might just fuck around and find real love in the process, because anybody who's willing to tell you the truths, to show you what's really going on with you, okay, that can be someone worth holding on to. But you gotta be real careful here, because if you don't actually change and you just kind of pretend like you're changing and just put on the facade of someone who is now changed, you know what the fuck I'm talking about. It will be seen as duplicitous. And that's not going to work. So, definitely a test. Definitely a test. You are shown where you're really going. And you're asked to pursue a path of finding the right way. And you can pursue it and be very brave and very Libra, cardinal energy all the way, go, 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 and win the prize. There it is. True love, real love, the kind of love that'll tell you the truth. Or you can shine up the facade. Take it out for another spin. Listen, you got a lot of webs and a lot of honey. I'm sure you'll attract anyone you want. But this will never go away until you fix it. Extended? Yes? Yes. We'll do that right now. We're going to get into these in detail, and then we're going to shuffle through for some more. There is a meetup in LA, but it is sold out. I'm thinking of doing another meetup in LA. Should I do that? Tell me. Bay seems very interesting. The Bay. People are saying they want the Bay. Denver. We have an event July 9th. It's going to be so dope. It was set up by RevFam. I'm so excited. And then on August 14th, there's an event in New York. That's a bigger event. I'm really excited about that. All those tickets are below. And we just put up tickets for Miami. So Virgo season in Miami, August 27th. Those tickets will be below as well. We're doing live one-on-one video chat readings on 7/11. That link is below. And if you're interested in a personal recorded reading, that link is below. The easiest way to get the extended is to join Patreon. It's the simplest because it just shows up in your inbox as soon as it's ready and way before it's posted here. Or the Vimeo option is there. There's a link to those below as well. I love you. This is a very interesting reading. I'm very into this, and I love this new setup because I can really see what I'm doing, and hopefully you do too. I hope you love it too. I love you. I'll see you in just a second.